So here is my new Shopsmith 10er. This is American-made product, manufactured from 1947, I believe. There's a big following of these things in America. This was licensed to Australia in the, I think, 1950s. So this model came out prior to Shopsmith becoming a company proper in its own right. And there's a lot of history out there on the internet about that. Sole distributors, Pty, Glebe, New South Wales. The unit is in excellent condition. It came from eBay. I got it for a bargain. It has all of the bits, I think, that it originally came with. Essentially, this is a 4-in-1 machine. It works as a metal lathe, works as a drill press, table saw, disc sander. Those were the primary uses. Here is the actual table. So this functions as a drill press table and as a saw table. Really nice fence, double locking mechanism, all cast iron. And this is a huge difference between the stuff you get today, which is, you know, for the most part aluminium or plastic, and this stuff that was made in the olden days, which is all cast iron. This is the original motor. So 220 volts, so it is an Australian compliant motor. And what is that? 5.3 amps, 3/4 horsepower, single phase. The headstock looks to be in brilliant condition. Spindle seems nice. It's quite tight in there. So, and when I got it, this is really tough. It does not move very well at all. What I'm going to do is take this all apart, clean it up, give it a fresh lick of paint because it deserves it. Generally restore it because, you know what, it's a brilliant tool and I have a little project for it, which is I'm going to modernize it and hopefully make a bit of a milling press out of it. Although I'm keen to do CNC lathes. So these are all the other parts. That's the sanding disc. I have no idea what this is. It came with this thing. So it was attached to the top here. And looks like it's a drive. I think it's some kind of a cutter. I am not sure. It is greased up and oiled like crazy, so, and seized up. So it's going to get taken apart and degreased, and I'm going to see what's inside of it, which is cool. So there's a saw guard. That was a saw blade that came in it. It was actually attached when I bought it. That is the motor mount. Those are various guides for lathe, I believe. But this is when you buy old machinery like this, and this is treasure essentially. Lots of bits and pieces. Those are specific to the machine, arbor end bits and stuff. Lots of drill bits and bits and bobs in there, which is cool. Chuck, which is great. What are those? Dado Blades, I think. And they're different thicknesses, so I guess you can, you know, match them up by thickness based on the one you want. It's pretty cool. double blade. I assume you're supposed to use this, you know, with two blades together, maybe with a spacer in between, so to create, you know, wide cuts. And you know, there's a couple of nice grinder wheels here, but this is definitely the treasure of treasures. It's a hollow square mortise, chisel and bit, which is great. Looks like it's brand spanking new. And this basically lets you do square cuts using the drill press. So that's the other thing that this machine is, Shopsmith machine, is good at, which is as a boring tool. Not boring as in not interesting, but for boring long holes in material, which is really cool. Mind you, I don't have too much in the way of boring bits, as in not interesting bits, but boring bits. These are the longest ones I have, made in China, probably from, you know, aluminium or something, Chinesium. Anyway, I'm going to give you a bit of a tour around as I restore this machine. First, it's going to be a big cleanup and hopefully get it spick and span. This motor, well, it had nice story. It was basically on the trailer and barreling down the highway at 100 k's an hour, and this thing had actually slipped off the machine, and considering its weight, I'd hate to think what would have happened if it had actually fallen off the trailer, but there we have it. Just to finish off, this is the motor I'm going to be fitting to it. This has come off a treadmill, and there's lots of cool info out there on the internet about using these in shop equipment. Basically, it's a 1 horsepower DC motor and up to 4,000 RPM, which is actually too much for this machine. But the beauty of it is that it comes with a speed controller, in the sense of that, which, you know, that's going to be changed. We'll compact that in some way. But yeah, it's I don't know, maybe 1/5 the weight of the original motor, and it's 1 horsepower and variable speed, so awesome. And yeah, so we'll be fitting that to the back of the machine and have a variable speed motor, so that's pretty cool. Along the way we will fabricate some odds and ends for this. I don't think I'm ever going to use the disc sander as a disc sander on the machine, so I have a vague notion of scoring another one of those motors and basically making a separate disc sander out of this plate, which is pretty awesome. It's 300 mil, so about 15 inches something for you Americans out there. I'll leave it at that. I'll give you a nice look into the next part of this build once it's all cleaned up and assembled. So one of the things we'll actually be doing with this is I want to do some metal work with it as well. One of the reasons I bought it was because, unlike your ordinary made with Chinesium drill press, this has got a very solid headstock. That thing weighs a ton. I can barely lift it, and I am hoping that it will provide enough support for the lateral forces needed to do some machining. Softer materials anyway. I don't think this is any substitute for a metal lathe, but it'll be fine for my needs, and I look forward to making some cool stuff with this.